It's going to stop, you know, it's not going to keep rolling. Ooh. Yeah. So that's good. So the ABS, whoa, there's a big admission coming from me here, Mr. Anti-Electronics, but I have to say, the ABS off-road,
Biking with Campbell. Hey everyone, and welcome to Biking with Campbell. Remember to like, subscribe and share if you're enjoying my content on motorbikes as well as maybe the photography ones. So anyway, I recently got to try out the brand new Tuareg Aprilia, the 660. And so I just wanted to share with you my thoughts with you here on that particular bike. For those of you who've been watching my biking videos for a while, you know what I think about ride-by-wire. But I thought, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully these manufacturers are getting it together and they're creating something that's much better. Hopefully the perfect ride-by-wire for me would feel exactly like a carbureted bike in the best possible ways, not the worst possible ways. So stay tuned, because I do comment on how this particular bike, the Tuareg, replicates carburetors. This isn't a sponsored review. I definitely didn't receive any money from Aprilia, and as you'll see, this is a pure gut reaction. I'm just telling you how I feel about this bike as I ride it. Stick to the end, because my initial impressions of this bike are a bit and by the end kind of changed my tune on it a little bit.
oh yeah, you can definitely feel that it's lighter. It definitely feels more top heavy though. Ooh, yuck. Oh, that ride by throttle is f***ing horrible. Wow, there's like literally nothing happens at the beginning. Wow, that's so terrible. Man, my Africa Twin Punch is so much harder than that. There's just nothing happening. Was that first? That's dreadful. The throttle response is very soft. Oh my god, what happened there? Okay, well this explore mode is not great. That's pretty... I guess he probably put it in what he thought would be a really safe setting to start. I'm just going to pull over and change the setting, because this is hopeless. Hopeless is what it is. Dare I use the word flaccid? I mean, seriously, a DR650 has got more go than that. How do you change this? Urban. Off-road. Individual. Explore. Urban. Off-road. Individual. Okay. So you got Explore, which is no good. Let's try Urban. Brakes are very spongy. I mean, they work. Don't get me wrong, they work, but I mean, you know, I suppose it's not hard to ride. Oh, yep, and the ABS is horrible. It kicks in really nasty. Whoa, man, this thing is just dreadful. I'll give it this. At least I'm not frightened of the ride-by-wire. I mean, this thing wouldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding, so Man, what's it going to be like in off-road mode? It must be so soft. The instruments on it are nice and clear, they're easy to read. At least I can read my speedo, unlike the Africa Twin. Man, this brake lever is so bad. It's got so much travel before anything happens. It's like nothing happens for like, what is that? It's like well over an inch of travel before anything starts happening. I'm wondering who the target market is. Yeah, I mean, I think it's aimed at guys that are just getting back. Like, so if you were just getting back into motorcycling and you wanted, like, you know, something that, you know, had a big performance envelope supposedly on and off road, although I have to say this is pretty wimpy on road. But if you know, everybody else seems to think it's amazing. So maybe this would make sense for, you know, an old digger who hadn't ridden for 15 years and wanted to, you know, get something that he thought was really cool and, you know, on paper had lots of performance, but, you know, wouldn't frighten him. You know, would sort of baby him for being really cack-handed. So, I mean, you'd have to be pretty, you know, you'd have to be really horrendously bad on the brakes to, well, I don't think it's got ABS anyway, so it's never going to lock up. Oh, that stopped pretty good then, standing. Am I stuck in 6th? I am, hang on. Oh, I did drop a gear. It's having trouble keeping, the dashboard's having trouble keeping up with me changing down. F***ing hell. That's not nice, eh? I don't know what that was. It's like having like a really badly tuned carburetor or something where the carb splutters and coughs. Good grief, you can't even blip the throttle because the first part of the movement of the throttle doesn't do anything. Oh man, I hate that ABS like pumping, eh? It's so bad. I mean, maybe I'd be locking these wheels up. High beams on. Don't know where that is. Is that it? No, I don't know what that is. Probably shouldn't have touched that. That is a weird place for a light switch. What's this? Oh. Oh, I wonder if that's what people are talking about, like bumping this. Oh, it is. I think people in other reviews have talked about how their fingers bump this high beam switch, which I think I just did. So it's 5th. It's got that airbox induction noise, which is kind of nice, I guess. Where's the rev counter on this? Oh, there. Yeah, that's one of the things about digital rev counters is you can never read the bloody things. Let's see, it's hooked around it needs to be way bigger than that. I'd much rather have clocks. These digital dashes are hopeless. Reminds me of the ZX636, which is one of the best motorcycles I've ever ridden, and it's like way back in the day, like 2003 or something, and that had a digital dash. Having a digital dash is effectively the same as not having a rev counter. You might as well not bother having it. Like something like what's on the DRZ 400, you might as well have that if you're going to go minimalist and not give you any information. The gearbox isn't that good. It's a bit hard to chop down the gears, and you really need to, because try and find the meat, you know, find the power. The gearbox might loosen up a bit, but those down changes, it's quite hard to do those down changes. Got to really push hard on the pedal and the lever. You can definitely feel that this is lighter than the Africa Twin. The Africa Twin feels like a big bike compared to this. So this does, you know, if you want that feel of a lighter bike, might be a little bit easier to pick up when you drop it. So that's something. If you want all the bells and whistles and you want rider modes you can flick between, it's got that. If you like to spend more time fiddling with a rolling iPad than you do actually riding your bike, you could sit happily, you know, for an hour and fiddle with your settings. I think I'd rather just jump on my bike and get on with it, to be honest. Pretty sure this lets you change your setting on the move. Oh yep, there we go. So now we're in off-road. Is that more responsive in off-road than it is in urban? That would be really random if off-road was the most responsive mode. I think it might be. I think off-road's the most responsive. So that's interesting. I would have thought the other way around, but I suppose maybe if you want to try and lift the front over things, you need it to kind of punch a bit harder, like off the, you want a bit more of an immediate throttle response. Random. Yeah. Okay. So off-road's the most responsive. What's it like? And I hit a bit of gravel. Oh, must have the traction control on. So as soon as I went to, as soon as you go to accidentally spin the back wheel, it just stops. Wow, that's horrible. I suppose you can switch it off. I don't know how to, but. Okay, this feels sort of almost semi like a normal throttle in this mode. So however this is set up. So it's a little bit loosey-goosey on the bottom, but I think if they really wanted to sell these to, a broader market, these bikes, and especially for the money you pay for them, they need to come with a weekend workshop on how to set them up. Like even maybe before you buy them, like go and test ride them, spend a weekend riding them, have someone there that teaches you how all the things work, listens to what you kind of want from a bike, sets it, helps you set it up so that it, just to give you an idea, because there's no way I would buy this based on this test ride so far. I mean, maybe it's possible to tune this bike so that it works for me. I mean, you're never going to be able to fix the ABS on it, but so that's always going to be a hassle. But you might be able to dial in the traction control, so that works. It's a bit of a shame, this ABS, because the ABS on the Scalpel 1200 was outstanding. Like that thing had man, you could mash on that brake, and well, you didn't need to, 2 fingers would just pull that thing to a stop like nobody's business. This is kind of no, I suppose that's all right. Very divey at the front on the brakes, so it feels stiff. It feels way stiffer than my Africa Twin, but you haven't really got away from. You haven't got away from having a really divey front end. No advantage to it. It's not going to be less sort of pitchy, under hard braking. At the same, and it's going to be less comfortable, way less comfortable than my Africa Twin. Speaking of comfort, the seat's all right so far. That is not really what I wanted. Not what I wanted at all. Red light means. Is that a gear change thing, or what is that? Man, it's very vague at the front, on the brakes. So we're on a gravel road. Oh, interesting. It's got different traction control settings for each of the different settings. Off-road 2, rear ABS disabled. Good to know. Let's go and start and explore and see what it's like. So this is with the traction control in 1. Oh yes, the throttle is so soft in this mode, it's just out of it. Man, look at this. Bloody hell. Oh yeah, that's in traction control 1. I suppose it's easier to ride. I'll give it that. Yeah, I mean it works, right? So that's in the explore mode. So this mode's actually, this feels quite alright. Like when you're on gravel, this explore's quite good with the way the throttle works on this. You'd have to be really cack-handed to have a problem. But I think the off-road mode's a bit more aggressive than this. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll give it this. I'm doing 100 k's on an unfamiliar gravel road. Yikes! Man, these potholes are nasty. On an unfamiliar gravel road, on an unfamiliar bike. I'm being careful because obviously it's not mine. I really don't want to crash it. Goodness knows what the excess on this is. Probably something crazy like 5,000 bucks. So yeah, that kind of works. I'm probably going to head back now. I might just try the off-road mode. If you're a completely new rider, you know, you can probably rely a little bit on the dummy modes and know that they're going to maybe give you a little bit of a buffer. Not really sold on the ride modes, to be honest. I don't see the point. I suppose what it allows is it allows for really people with very poor riding skills to ride things that they probably wouldn't be able to ride without them. So, you know, whether that's a good thing or not remains to be seen. I would argue it's not, because if you're always riding these things with dummy features on them, when are you ever going to learn to ride properly? One would say you don't need to learn to ride properly anymore, because why would you buy a bike that doesn't have all this idiot measures on it? So, you know, which is, you know, an argument, I suppose. Interesting. So, traction controls in 2. I wonder what the most intrusive is versus the least. Because in that explore mode, the traction control 1 wasn't very intrusive. Luckily, this is not loose gravel here, so it's not going to wheel spin here. It's just going to hook up. Man, this road's in bad condition. Whoa! I think I prefer the suspension on my Africa Twin, to be honest. I think it's better. It's softer, it's more comfortable. I think arguably a little bit better control, but I think you could set this up better than it is. Probably could set it up better than it is. Yikes! Man, this road is rough as guts! I'm not minding it. I think you could have a lot of fun on this, especially off-road. I think it's a bit dumb on-road, to be honest. I don't really enjoy that. I think the way the throttle and the brakes are set up on-road is just not good. So maybe it's really, you know, maybe they've really made the focus off-road, and that's okay. But I think my Africa Twin is better on the road than this. And to be honest, I don't really think this has got any advantages off-road, except arguably being a little bit lighter. meaning that, you know, if you drop it you need to pick it up. Oh yeah, I mean, that pulls you up pretty good. I mean, it's nice to know. What's it like? So let's see, I can't turn the ABS off, but I can go to off-road, and then that will, what's this back brake like now? Oh yeah. Well, that's quite good with the ABS on the back off and the OBS on the front on. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, that would give you plenty of confidence. I mean, it's definitely like, you know, it's going to stop, you know, it's not like going to keep rolling. Yeah. So that's good. So the ABS, there's a big admission coming from me here, Mr. Anti-Electronics, but I have to say, the ABS off-road, that feels good with being able to lock the back wheel up, and that little bit of confidence of knowing that you got that little bit of extra buffer. Like I was still trying to feel that and kind of brake like I would if I was on my Africa Twin with no ABS. I'd love to do a side by side and see which one I can stop faster. I don't think there'd be much in it, but you know, I guess if you have that panic brake on the gravel, then this is going to maybe save you, you know, potentially save your bacon, right? Shut up and ride it. Not noticing anything that I particularly hate. I think I prefer this off-road throttle because it's just a bit more instant and sort of does what you think it's going to do. I might become a convert by the end of this ride. Nasty bit of water over the road there. It's a bit of a lag. It's got a few times where it just sort of lags, eh? So, there. The throttle response is kind of inconsistent. I don't know why that is. Maybe emissions, maybe all sorts of weird emission things going on where it's trying to lean the throttle out, or I don't know. Who knows? What are we in? Third. Yeah, it gets along in third, okay.
So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this was useful. Just want to talk about some of the positives and some of the negatives. So the positives are, I think the fit and finish is really excellent. The bike looks really nice in person. It's relatively lightweight and you can feel that when you're riding it. The seat height is okay. It's a bit of a plus, bit of a minus. Yeah, what I mean by that is if you are my height, it's just doable. It feels a little bit tall, especially when you are standing at a standstill. I think if you're riding this in very technical off-road conditions, it could be intimidating. What isn't intimidating is the ride modes and the throttle response. It's very soft in some of the settings, and even in the individual mode where it was set a bit more aggressive, and the off-road mode is still not at all intimidating. It's a very new rider-friendly bike, or someone returning to riding would find this bike very unintimidating and confidence-inspiring. The ABS off-road was really good, as I said. I was quite impressed with that. I think you could go down a pretty nasty, steep, slippery clay slope. Obviously I didn't test that, but certainly on gravel it was really impressive. I like that the settings are switchable on the fly. I think that's really positive. It has fun factor. I was enjoying riding it. I think that's a really important thing to consider. Overall, the suspension is really good. Feels quite sophisticated. Seems to work very well on some pretty nasty potholed roads like the ones I rode on there. Stands up well on the road. I think it probably just needs a bit of tuning, possibly a little bit of rebound added on there, and possibly a little bit of more preload just to stop that initial kind of dive. But yeah, it feels good. Let's look at the negatives. I really didn't like the brakes. There's a huge amount of lever play in the first part of the lever pull. They lack feel. They're very spongy. And because of the amount of lever travel, they can also be really grabby. So you get the worst of both worlds. They're soft, spongy, kind of grabby, not very good feel. The ABS is really intrusive, like it was kicking in a lot when I was braking, not really any harder than I feel like I brake on my Africa Twin, which doesn't have ABS, and I'm not constantly locking the wheels up on that and falling off, so that was really irritating. It's kind of top heavy, so mixed with that sort of slightly tall seat height. If you're shorter, you're really going to struggle with this bike, because by the time it's even starting to tip over slightly, you're going to have a lot of trouble holding it up. So expect to fall over at the lights and that kind of thing if you're not used to adventure bikes or you're a bit shorter. I found the rider modes really intrusive. The explore modes, like, just there's so much twist in the throttle before anything happens. It's very blunted in its response. But then you've got the other modes, so you can switch. But I'd rather just have one mode that worked instead of having to switch between a bunch of modes all the time. I guess probably for me, I'd just leave it on off-road all the time, whether I was riding on the road or off, because that seemed to be the best. I think possibly the brakes might be a little bit better in off-road mode as well, and maybe not kick in quite so soon. The motor lacks a bit of urgency, or it certainly feels like it lacks urgency, and that's because of the ride-by-wire. Makes the engine feel really soft and not very exciting. And the last thing that is kind of irritating is there's a really horrible fueling glitch. That's going to be a problem if you're off-road and you're trying to pop the front up over obstacles. It's going to kick in unexpectedly. You're never really going to know what you're getting on with that fueling. But I do believe Aprilia's got an update for that, like a software update. So possibly by the time you're looking at buying one, they'll all be sorted out. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope that was useful. I know it was quite a long video. I really tried to cut it down. There was about over an hour's worth of footage in there. I hope there is a useful review, something out there that's not sponsored by anyone, just someone's truthful, honest feelings about one of these modern bikes and how they go. Anyway, like, subscribe, please share, and I really appreciate that. Thanks everyone for your support, and those of you who watch my videos, thanks very much. Catch you later.